Chapter 1286. Lin Muyu suddenly disappeared, leaving behind only a cloud of smoke. The yellow dragon's bite missed its target. With a kacha sound, its sharp teeth sliced through the air. If Lin Muyu had been bitten by it, she would not have been able to escape unscathed even with her cultivation. So fast! The yellow dragon shook its head and wagged its tail. Its eyes were full of mockery. It hadn't seen a living person for a long time, so it felt that the fight with Lin Muyu had become a game for it. It breathed out red flames and said, "As expected of the Einherjar, you are much stronger than the Einherjar from 10,000 years ago. Not bad, not bad." In the rolling heat wave dozens of meters away, Lin Muyu's figure slowly emerged. She was greatly shocked. If she hadn't learned Ria's light hunting skill, it would have been difficult for her to escape from the yellow dragon's swift and violent sneak attack. This cunning yellow dragon was no longer a guardian, but an evil beast in the divine well for 10,000 years. Swoosh swoosh! With the sword chi crisscrossing around her, Lin Muyu quickly released her strongest power, and the proud sword tactics was raised to the extreme. She stood majestically and looked at the yellow dragon indifferently. "This is the last time. Get out of here, or I won't show mercy. No, I won't leave. This is my home, and guarding this place is my mission." The yellow dragon's expression was quite ferocious, and it laughed. "Do you know? I've been tired of this place for so many years. I've repeatedly called Celestial Ruler Fushi, but he never listened. When I was breaking through the layer, I suffered the backlash of the enchantment. Damn Fushi Celestial Ruler, he actually used the seal of the 6 realms to deal with me." Lin Muyu said angrily, "The seal of the 6 realms is used to seal the divine well and block the passage between the divine realm and the demon realm. It is not used to deal with. Why do you wrongly accuse Master?" "I don't care." The yellow dragon meandered in the air and smirked coldly. "It is the selfish Fushi that made me suffer here for 10,000 years. His promise that I will ascend to the celestial realm's dragon race has never been fulfilled. Master has been killed. How can it be fulfilled?" Lin Muyu frowned. "If you really want to become a god, I can do it for you as long as you promise me to leave this place immediately. What, even you are afraid of me? My dragon scales have become fiery scales. My sharp claws have become indestructible, and my internal organs have been tempered for tens of thousands of years. At least here, in this blazing environment, I can defeat you. Therefore, I will never leave. You gods are all hypocrites. Once I leave, you will kill the donkey after it has outlived its usefulness. The next one to die will definitely be me. Master Messenger, I will protect you," Muyu said. "I know I will do my best. If and said I and you. And I don't believe you. I've long since given up on you gods." Yellow Dragon opened his mouth wide, and mucus flowed down his sharp teeth, turning into thick flames. He laughed. "There is only one thing I want to do now, and that is to eat you and use your godhead and blood essence to build my supreme beast core. Ha ha ha, join our dragon clan and become a part of my body. What do you think of this suggestion, martial god?" Lin Muyu raised her sword. "Do you really think I can't kill you in the demon god well?" "Of course." "Then open your dog eyes wide. I'll show you." Lin Muyu appeared out of nowhere, her long sword slashing down from the sky, bringing with it countless sharp chi waves that swept downwards. In an instant, it was as if thousands of sharp swords had descended from the sky, all stabbing into Huang Long's protective shield. Pung, pung, pung. The sounds of the sword chi were all repelled, and one could even see faint red ripples on the surface of Huang Long's body. This protective shield was not just any ordinary layer of sturdiness. Ha! With a low shout, Lin Muyu flew out of the flames and slashed at the yellow dragon's neck like a bolt of lightning. However, the Shenyuan sword could not cut through it. It only penetrated an inch into the yellow dragon's protective shield before it was repelled by the strong rebound, and Lin Muyu was sent flying. Phew! The yellow dragon roared, and the blazing dragon flame turned into a sharp arrow and chased after them. Lin Muyu did not dare to take this kind of attack head-on. His feet turned into a light, and he instantly left the place with the light hunting skill. Although he might not be able to kill the yellow dragon, it was impossible for the yellow dragon to kill him. After all, even if the yellow dragon had the highest cultivation and was tempered by the devil flame and divine flame, he was just a beast after all, far from the god of the Mahayana world. In the rolling fire clouds, Lin Muyu raised his sword and slashed down again. Countless sword intents in the air turned into a huge image of the Shenyuan sword and slashed down at the yellow dragon's head. It had the momentum of immortal beheading the dragon. If it were an ordinary dragon, it would have been unable to bear the AO sword tactics and would have been beheaded. However, this dragon was very special. The energy shield on the surface of its body was indeed indestructible. Boom! The violent impact shook the whole well of gods and demons. This attack of Lin Muyu was almost his strongest attack. The huge sword light of the Shenyuan sword constantly hit and smashed the body of the yellow dragon. But the lethality of the transformation was also very amazing. The yellow dragon's head and tail shook and howled, but it was only in pain, until the layer of fiery red energy on its body completely dissipated. "You bastard!" The yellow dragon roared and opened its mouth to the sky for a while. Suddenly, dozens of dragon flames flew and splashed in the fire clouds from different angles. Lin Muyu launched the light hunting skill and kept dodging. At the same time, wherever his eyes passed, he was shocked. He saw the divine flame and devil flame in the well of gods and demons rushing to the five-clawed yellow dragon, condensing into a thick layer of energy armor on the surface of its body. No wonder this yellow dragon was so arrogant. It turned out that it had absorbed the power of the well of gods and demons and turned it into its own. Swish! A fierce light fell from the sky with dozens of sword chi. The attack was completed almost instantly. Bang, bang, bang! It was still too late. By the time Lin Muyu's sword chi reached the five-clawed yellow dragon, the five-clawed yellow dragon's barrier had already solidified once again, and the sword chi was completely deflected away. Lin Muyu was pushed back nearly 100 meters by the powerful rebound. Panting heavily, she looked at the five-clawed yellow dragon with a deep gaze and said, "I'll give you one last chance. Submit to me, move aside, and follow me back to the immortal realm. Otherwise, I will kill you." The yellow dragon wriggled, its eyes full of mockery. Nowadays, the martial god only knows how to show off with words. Are you being aggressive here? If you want to kill me, then kill me. Why do you have to talk so much? With the protection of the divine flame and devil flame, it was fearless and basically ignored Lin Muyu's attack. Under this situation, Lin Muyu continued to attack fiercely. His aura was no longer calm, and there were even burn wounds on his body from the dragon flame. Boom! The blood-red lightning spread, and Lin Muyu pulled himself together again to launch the proud sword tactics. In an instant, the surroundings were filled with surging sharp sword chi. The sword chi was so dense that it turned into a huge sword ball. Then, Lin Muyu controlled the ball and smashed it on the yellow dragon. Roar! The yellow dragon roared angrily as its five claws shook, tearing and scratching at the sword ball in a frenzy. Lin Muyu, on the other hand, did not care and attacked with all her might. In an instant, the scene looked like a divine dragon playing with a pearl. However, this pearl was filled with the power to devour the divine dragon, and in the blink of an eye, it shattered the energy layer around the yellow dragon. Lin Muyu was going all out. She bet on her divine power recovery speed to be faster than the yellow dragon's, and that her killing move would be more powerful. Bang! With a soft sound, the energy layer around the yellow dragon instantly collapsed. It seemed to understand what was about to happen and hurriedly begged for mercy. "Martial God, I know I was wrong. I know I was wrong. This dragon is willing to surrender to you and contribute to the divine realm." Swoosh! In the light hunting technique, Lin Muyu suddenly stopped in his tracks. Stepping on the sky full of flames, he looked down at the yellow dragon and said calmly, "It's too late." What's too late?" The yellow dragon looked at him in shock. However, at this moment, the dragon's scales on the yellow dragon's neck suddenly burst open, and blood gushed out. The yellow dragon did not even know when Lin Muyu made this fatal strike. His head and body began to separate, and hot blood splattered in the air. In the blink of an eye, the corpse was devoured by the divine and demonic flames and burned to ashes. Ugh! Lin Muyu let out a miserable groan. She lowered her head to look at her chest and arms, which were already covered in a layer of gray. Her powerful martial god body was about to be melted by the flames. He even lost control of his body. Killing the yellow dragon only took a few moves, but he had already exhausted his divine power. In the blink of an eye, he fell into the rolling flames. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The flames in the demon god well churned, and a beautiful figure flew out. Holding the Zhu Rong blazing sword, she immediately saw Lin Muyu engulfed by the flames. Tears immediately fell from her eyes. She flew over without a care and suddenly hugged Lin Muyu. She activated the fire of destruction to protect him, stepped on the void, and quickly flew to the ground with Lin Muyu. Boom! Huge waves surged into the sky, completely burning down the foundation of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. The flames rushed into the sky and then turned into spiritual qi, enshrouding the 6 realms. First came the divine flame, then came the endless demonic flame. The plan had succeeded. The demonic energy in the core of the demon world had already begun to pour into the 6 realms. Swoosh! Following the flames, Tang Shi flew out with Lin Muyu in her arms and fell heavily into the mess of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Xiao hurriedly ran over, but when she saw Lin Muyu's body was scorched black, almost unrecognizable. Her heart trembled, and she murmured, "She." Tears rolled down Tang Shi's face. She looked up at Xiao and asked, "Is this what you wanted?" Xiao was heartbroken. She shouted into the distance, "Chu Yao, quickly come and save you." Chapter 1287. A layer of rain mist enshrouded Lin Muyu's body. Chu Yao gently placed her palm on Lin Muyu's chest and said, "Fortunately, his internal organs were not burned. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult to save him. Xiaoxi, don't cry. Don't worry, you is a martial god. His self-healing ability is more than enough for him to recover to his original state. It's just that he can't recover his strength for a while." "Really?" "Yes, why would I lie to you?" Tang Xiaoxi wiped away her tears and knelt beside Lin Muyu. On the other side was the silent Qin Yin, tightly holding onto Lin Muyu's burnt palm. She had never seen Lin Muyu suffer such heavy injuries. In fact, it was rare to see Lin Muyu injured to such a degree. However, everyone could also see that the charred surface of Lin Muyu's body was slowly fading away, revealing the smooth and translucent skin underneath. This was the skin that the martial god had tempered. After a light breeze blew past and the rain dispersed, Lin Muyu's body looked brand new. As his strength recovered, even the martial god's attire gradually returned to normal. A set of majestic armor parts appeared one by one. He slowly woke up. When he opened his eyes, he saw Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's anxious expressions. He couldn't help but smile and comfort them. "What's wrong? It's raining?" The 2 goddesses were both angry and happy that he could still crack a joke at such a time. The 7 luminaries demon emperor said, "Send you back to the Great Void Temple to recuperate. Xiao, bring the Eastern God Realm's best snow lotus root, myriad spirit grass, and other healing panaceas to you. He must recover his strength as soon as possible." "Yes, Demon Emperor." Under the escort of Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, Situ-san, and the other gods, they sent Lin Muyu back to the Great Void Temple to recuperate. Countless streams of divine flames and devilish flames shot into the sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment. The original Hall of Great Accomplishment no longer existed. It was a palace that had existed for many years in the god world, and now it had been destroyed in a single day. From now on, the god realm and the demon realm are completely connected. Xian's elegant and alluring blazing angel robes fluttered in the wind. She had a complicated look in her eyes as she said, "Back then, the elder gods of the god realm probably didn't expect that the demon realm, which had been sealed for 10,000 years, would rejoin the 6 realms in such a way, right?" Dong Ming said in a low voice. All of this was fated by the heavens. Since the Mahayana heavenly axiom reshuffled the order of heaven and earth after Tian Fa, then it's no longer strange for the demon realm to rejoin the six realms. On the contrary, I think this is a good thing. If the God realm and the demon realm want to coexist peacefully, then we need to understand each other and not lie low. That will only lead to a new war. Bai Feng, Holy Emperor, what do you think? Bai Feng stood in front of the group of demon gods and said indifferently, what godly King Dong Ming said is not without reason. The demon realm is also willing to accept mutual supervision from the God realm and coexist peacefully. However, before that, the most important thing is to take back the demon realm. Although the core of the demon realm has been exposed, it is still our home. It is no longer your home. The seven luminaries demon emperor said in a low voice. The demon god's well has been opened, and the two worlds have become one. Now it is our common home. However, after the power of the demon realm has been released from the God realm, Aelios and the Titans will definitely not let it go. The next war of the gods may be coming soon. When they come again, we will be facing the Titans who have absorbed part of the demon realm's power. They will be even stronger than before. With our current strength, we will be theirs, right? Lao Hua asked. Whether or not you will participate in the war is very important. Shi Yen frowned slightly, as if she was a little worried. She said, we all know how strong the power of the holy martial arts is. But now that Yu is injured, who knows how long it will take for him to recover his full strength. On the other hand, Aelios will definitely not give us such a chance. Once the Titan army arrives, we can only brace ourselves and fight. Now that the Hall of Great Accomplishment has been destroyed, I'm afraid we can only rely on the Luoyan Mountain for defense. Sun Feng looked worried. Don't the righteous have any other forces? Are we the only ones left? Terralyn pouted and asked. That's right, we're the only ones left. The seven luminaries demon emperor said. No, there's actually more. An old voice came from the corner. Everyone looked over and saw that it was the silver-haired Chu Chu. He stood majestically on a collapsed stone pillar and said, this race used to have a heart for the light, but it was covered in dust later on. Since then, they have been unable to recover and hibernated in a corner of the universe. However, their power is unquestionable. What race? The seven luminaries demon emperor asked. Chu Chu smiled and said, the dragon race, the race closest to the gods. It can even be said that some of the dragon race have surpassed the gods. Tisk. The seven luminaries demon emperor did not hide the disdain in his eyes and said, Chu Chu, you and I have seen the dragon race. They are merely the pets of the gods. Even the Mahayana heavenly path's righteous gods might not be able to defeat the Titans now, let alone the mere dragon race. Chu Chu smiled indifferently and said, what was the highest level of the dragon race that the emperor saw last time? The golden saint dragon, one of the dragon gods. 5 claws. That's right. Chu Chu said comfortably. The emperor has only seen the golden saint dragon. That's just a saint dragon, not the legendary ancestral dragon. Ancestral dragon? That's right, the ancestor of all dragons. They have been sleeping for hundreds of thousands of years, and their bodies have become a part of the fossil. However, once the ancestral dragon awakens, their power will be unprecedented, enough to burn the heavens and destroy the earth. When I was cultivating, my spiritual sense traveled through time and space, and I even met the ancestral dragons once. They are kind and benevolent, so they might be able to help us. Really? Shi Yen was a little excited. She smiled and said, if that's the case, that's great. I didn't expect the dragon race to have existences like the ancestral dragons. Where are they now? The world has changed, and the seas have been washed away. Those ancestral dragons have been washed away by the wind and frost 700 years ago. Washed away? Shi Yen was shocked. What do you mean by washed away? It means that they're dead. The seven luminaries demon emperor explained. Shi Yen was furious. F***ck, they're already dead, and you're still talking about it? Chu, are you making fun of us? Chu Chu smiled and said, I wouldn't dare. Although the ancestral dragons have been washed away by the wind and frost for thousands of years, we will still see them and guide them to the human world. What is it? The wheel of reincarnation. Have all the previous god emperors forgotten about this ability? The 7 luminaries demon emperor could not help but take a deep breath. He frowned and said, "But isn't it a little too risky to turn the wheel of reincarnation back 700 years? What if it's just a mistake and we might never be able to return and get lost in the cracks of time and space? When I turned the wheel of reincarnation back then, it was only 100 years. If it was 700 years, I don't think I could control it." Chu said, "Now we are standing on a key time and space node. This node is the bridge between the demon world and the divine world. This node cannot be changed, so we can only change other nodes to influence the final outcome. Our fate is completely in our own hands. The wheel of reincarnation back 700 years and summon the dying ancestral dragons to fight for the divine world. This is the only way to win. Otherwise, we can only wait for Aelios and the Titans to destroy us one by one." The gods were silent. Suddenly, Xiao said, "I believe in Chu judgment." After the Mahayana heavenly axiom descended, the power of the gods continued to advance, even far surpassing the ancestral gods. If even we can't protect the heavenly axiom, then the only ones who can save the divine world are the races that have yet to show their power, the ancestral dragons. So we have no choice. The 7 luminaries demon emperor took a deep breath and said, "Then make preparations. Bring me some dry rations to eat on the way. I will do my best to turn the wheel of reincarnation back 700 years and find those ancestral dragons." "No." Chu shook his head and said, "Emperor, although you are powerful, you are not the best choice to find the ancestral dragons." "What do you mean?" The 7 luminaries demon emperor was a little surprised. Chu explained, "You have the title of Mad God, and every step you take is your own will. Even the heavenly Tao can't restrain you, Mad God, so how can the law of time restrain you? If there are no restraints, how can you tell whether it's 700 years or 600 years? Even if you successfully travel through time, how can you calculate today's time node and bring the ancestral Gragon back here? And most importantly, Emperor, you have an unyielding temperament. Although those ancestral dragons are kind and docile, they are not completely harmless. I am worried that, Emperor, you will fight them. This won't work, that won't work. Chu, what do you think we should do? We need a cautious, powerful, and confident over God, who can go 700 years in the past and return. Moreover, he must be humble and courageous enough to gain the trust and appreciation of the ancestral dragons. Only such a person has the right to go 700 years in the past to find the ancestral dragons. Who can do it? The one lying in the great void temple. Chu smiled. You? The 7 luminaries demon emperor frowned and said, "He just suffered such heavy injuries. Are you sure?" Chu stroked his beard and smiled. "Emperor, you underestimate a martial god's self-healing ability. If he can't recover from his injuries, can he still be called a martial god? We'll be able to see the vigorous and lively martial god tomorrow morning. Besides, in terms of the mastery of power and spacetime, I'm afraid only Ayu can bring the ancestral Gragon back to today's node without the slightest error. Then let's wait and see tomorrow morning." The 7 luminaries demon emperor said in a deep voice, "Tomorrow morning, I will go back 700 years with you." "What are you going to do?" Shi Yan asked. "Help him fight." Shi Yan was speechless for a moment. The next day, when the first rays of the sun rose, Lin Muyu had already woken up from her sleep. Ugh! While he was still dreaming, he felt a warm current flowing through his body. It was a kind of pure spiritual energy. Before he got out of bed, he raised his arm and waved it. It was extremely smooth. Even the divine power in his body had recovered by more than 80%, and his injuries were almost healed. It seemed like the elixirs of the god realm were indeed miraculous. "Is you awake yet?" The loud voice of the demon emperor came from outside. "What are you being so noisy for?" "He's still sleeping." Qin Yin scolded fiercely. The demon emperor said, "All right, sister-in-law, don't be angry. I'm just asking. Continue watching. I'll come back later to ask. Chapter 1288. Really? The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor was shocked. He was roasted like a sweet potato yesterday, but he's alive and kicking today. Lin Muyu, what's the matter? Thus, the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor told them about the ancestral Gragon. After listening, Lin Muyu was deeply convinced and said, since Chu had once spoken to the ancestral Gragon's relic with his spiritual sense, it means that the ancestral Gragon really did exist. In that case, we might as well make a trip there. Moreover, the Wheel of Wheels has returned to this node, so we don't have to worry about Allos suddenly attacking the realm of gods. We can just look for the ancestral Gragon. Big Brother Demon Emperor, do you know where the ancestral Gragon is? I don't know. The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor shook his head readily. If you don't know, then what the hell are we looking for? Lin Muyu almost choked with anger and said, come. Let's go find Chu and ask clearly before we go, so we don't have to waste time. Okay. At the peak of Luoyan Mountain, Chu was sitting motionlessly among the weeds and dead trees like a short pine tree, as if he had integrated with the entire nature. However, a sincere and tranquil aura overflowed, giving people an indescribable sense of tranquility. Although Lin Muyu and the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor's strength were above Chu's, in terms of mental and physical cultivation, they were far inferior to Chu. Russell, Lin Muyu and the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor landed one after another. After walking forward, Lin Muyu cupped her fists and bowed. Chu, Demon Emperor and I are here. Chu smiled and said without turning around, 700 years ago, the dragon race hibernated in a plain of ice under the jurisdiction of the northern god realm. That plane is called the Undying World. Millions of dragons lived in the Undying World. You can go and investigate, but I read from the remnant spiritual sense of the ancestral Gragon that they were aloof from worldly affairs. Otherwise, they would not have willingly weathered and died in this icy world. Go, whether you can summon the ancestral Gragon back to the realm of gods will depend on your ability. Then, thank you, Chu. Lin Muyu lightly stomped on the ground, and immediately, a blue light began to spin around her. The space began to distort and change, and the mysterious holy martial energy enshrouded the outer layer of the ball of light, breathing heavily as it traveled through space and time. Big brother, come in, we should be leaving. Lin Muyu said. The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor said, but I haven't brought the snacks and rations that Xiao prepared for me. Do we really have to leave in such a hurry? There will naturally be food 700 years ago. What's there to be afraid of? Let's go. And the moment the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor walked into the ball of light, a surge of power came from Lin Muyu. This caused the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor to be inwardly shocked. He couldn't imagine how strong Lin Muyu had grown. At the very least, he didn't have the confidence that he would be able to achieve such an exquisite power of Dozhuan. On the contrary, Lin Muyu didn't even hesitate and directly activated the Dozhuan. This meant that he had absolute confidence in succeeding. Chu, see you in a bit. Lin Muyu smiled. He knew that no matter how long he and the Demon Emperor went to the Undying World, it would only be a blink of an eye here. Go on, kid. Chu smiled. Lin Muyu silently circulated his god power. In the blink of an eye, he locked onto the time 700 years ago. He exerted strength in his legs and with a pong, a shockwave spread out. He and the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor disappeared from the spot. Shwa! Space-time reversed. Countless streams of light flew past the two of them. The violent impact caused them to be unable to open their eyes. A normal person wouldn't be able to withstand such a degree of reversal. However, the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor and Lin Muyu could barely withstand it. A light flashed past. The two of them were still standing on flat ground. Moreover, they were still on the lone peak of the Luoyan Mountain. However, there wasn't a great void hall at the foot of the mountain. It was just a piece of wilderness. In the distance was the majestic Hall of Great Accomplishment. They could vaguely make out that this was how the Hall of Great Accomplishment looked like 700 years ago. Hall of Great Accomplishment. The 7 luminaries demon emperor sighed. Lin Muyu asked, "Big brother, who was in charge of the Eastern God world 700 years ago? The fire god, Yu Wanyan, was defeated by me in the past, but now, I can make Yu Wanyan submit to my majesty with a little finger. Ayu, where are you now?" Lin Muyu had a helpless look on his face. Damn, 700 years ago. The world I lived in was still in the gunpowder era. My country was still under the rule of the Yuan dynasty. According to the time, this year is 42 years since the Battle of Cliff Mountain and the fall of the Southern Song dynasty. Yu Fei and Han Shizhong have been dead for who knows how long. The most glorious flame in China's recent history has been extinguished. As for my family tree, my grandfather and great-grandfather haven't even been born yet. Where do you think I am? The 7 luminaries demon emperor couldn't help but laugh. Sai, you're really young. You seem to hate that era a lot? Lin Muyu, of course. For my country, it was a total annihilation. After the Battle of Cliff Mountain, more than 3/4 of the Han people in the household register were massacred. The highly developed civilization, economy, and society of the Southern Han were completely destroyed. After the Yuan dynasty took over, the Han people in the north were the 3rd class and the Han people in the south were the 4th class. At that time, all the Han villages were settled with Mongolians. Before a Han woman got married, she had to sleep with a Mongolian for 3 days. Old Han people had to go to a tomb to wait for death when they were 60 years old. Many people say that the Yuan dynasty shocked Europe and Asia. I think it's better to forget about it. It was the shame of a nation for 1,000 years. Someone even said, after Cliff Mountain, there is no China. Sai, according to my character, I should have reincarnated for another 40 years to change everything. But you're not the kind of god that changes history on your own. The 7 luminaries demon emperor smiled. He looked very confident. You're a god. The turmoil and killings in the mortal world have little to do with you. Lin Muyu laughed. That's true. Forget it. Let nature take its course. Let's go. Let's not talk about this anymore. Our mission this time is to find the ancestral dragons in the undying world. We have to be fast. Otherwise, the ancestral dragons might all die and commit suicide. Yeah, what are these stupid dragons thinking? They're just fine. Suddenly, 3 figures flew over from afar. Each of them was holding a weapon. Their faces were filled with malicious intent. They surrounded the 7 luminaries demon emperor and Lin Muyu. One of them said, "Who are you? How dare you trespass into the territory of Mount Deshang?" The person who spoke looked familiar. From the official rank in the God world, he was a small officer. The 7 luminaries demon emperor laughed. "I know you. You're Sun Feng. I owe a god king Sun Feng. I'm dying of laughter." "How do you know me?" Sun Feng was shocked. At this moment, he didn't know the 7 luminaries demon emperor, nor did he know Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu was speechless. "Demon emperor, are you going to reminisce with Sun Feng here? The more we do here, the more we'll change the course of history. When that happens, it'll be even harder to find the way back." "That's true. Let's not chat anymore. Let's go to the northern heaven world. Do you think the Eastern God world is a place where you can come and go as you please?" Sun Feng shouted in a low voice. With a shake of his spear, it turned into a dazzling light and went straight for Lin Muyu's shoulder. Lin Muyu didn't say anything. She just glanced sideways at Sun Feng. Suddenly, the sword aura of the AO sword technique swept up and crushed Sun Feng's spear. The piercingly cold aura forced Sun Feng to take a few steps back. The other 2 god kings were also dumbfounded. The territory that Lin Muyu had burst forth was beyond their imagination. Their legs even turned to jelly, and they had the urge to kneel down in submission. This was the pressure that existed when there was an absolute disparity in strength. "Let's go." Lin Muyu leaped away. With one stride, she was several miles away. The 7 luminaries demon emperor also followed closely behind, completely ignoring Sun Feng and the other guardians of East Heaven. Their journey was unimpeded. With their cultivation and flying speed, ordinary gods couldn't catch them at all, let alone 700 years ago when the gods were relatively weak. Very soon, they entered the territory of the Northern Heaven Realm. Amidst the starry sky, it was indescribably beautiful. As Lin Muyu flew, she turned around and asked, "Big brother, who was the master of the Northern Heaven Realm 700 years ago?" "Dong Ming." The 7 luminaries demon emperor laughed. "That old fellow has long ruled the Northern Heaven Realm. But don't worry, our destination this time isn't Black Rock City, but the border Undying World. It's just a desolate plain under the jurisdiction of the Northern Heaven Realm. Even the Undying World hasn't appeared in the spiritual mountain register of the Northern Heaven Realm. It's enough to show that Dong Ming, this fool, doesn't know that the powerful dragon clan is hibernating in his own territory. Or maybe Dong Ming simply looks down on the power of the dragon clan." "That's true." The 7 luminaries demon emperor smiled slightly. "The strength of ordinary flying dragons and cloud dragons can only be considered as quasi-gods. They can't even compare to the strength of hierarch. Dong Ming naturally looks down on them. Can you determine the location of the Undying World? More or less. You can rely on your spiritual sense to sense. The aura of the dragon clan is incomparably sacred and powerful. Something that mortals can't compare with. As long as you enter the mortal world, I believe you'll soon be able to sense the aura of the dragon clan. It'll also be convenient for me to correct my judgment." The 2 of them began to increase their flying speed. Like 2 meteors falling side by side, they pierced through a certain enchantment. Pa! They pierced through the enchantment. That was the dividing line between the God realm and the mortal world. After the 2 of them passed through, they immediately caused ripples on the enchantment. This information would be transmitted to God King Dong Ming, but he definitely wouldn't pay much attention to it. At this time, Dong Ming was lying on a high pillow, definitely seeking pleasure. Lin Muyu squinted her eyes as she flew at high speed. Her spiritual sense quickly spread out. Very soon, there seemed to be something in the distance that was calling out to her. Her heart moved slightly, and she said, "Found it. It's very close." Chapter 1289. BZZT. Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor passed through the high-temperature haze. There were no stars nearby, so there was no heat source. However, the haze on the surface was like sunlight. This was probably the reason why the dragon race could survive here. Swoosh swoosh. 2 meteors swooped down from the sky and landed, creating dazzling sparks. Lin Muyu squinted, trying to determine where the ancestral dragon was. However, the connection to his spiritual sense seemed to be broken in an instant, leaving him at a loss. He gradually slowed down his dive. "What's wrong?" asked the 7 luminaries demon emperor. "The ancestral dragon's aura has disappeared." "Oh? How is that possible?" "They discovered us, so they hid their aura." "But it doesn't matter." Lin Muyu smiled. "They should be at the place with the densest dragon aura. Let's go, I know where they are." Okay. The 2 of them landed in the air only 100 meters above the ground. Then, they stopped and flew along the surface of the ground. The airwaves from their flight tore through the air, forming a loud roar. However, they couldn't care less. They were here for the dragon race anyway. There was no need to hide at all. As they flew, they looked down at the ground. Soon, they could see many long-necked dragon race devouring leaves in the dense forest. They seemed very docile, completely ignoring the 2 main gods in the sky. "There's a long-necked dragon." The 7 luminaries demon emperor smiled. "I didn't expect to see such a species here. How rare. This is indeed the gathering place of the dragon race. There are more over there." Lin Muyu pointed into the distance. In the valley a few miles away, dragon roars could be heard. The sky was surrounded by clouds, and there was a dragon's shadow rolling. It was a white dragon with silver scales. Its beard swayed, and it had an awe-inspiring aura. It was a cloud dragon, one of the high-level dragon race and also one of the holy dragon race. It could swallow clouds and spit fog, and its combat power was extraordinary. Within the clouds and mist, there were at least a few dozen cloud dragons spying on them. Their auras began to calm down and ease, and instead, They seemed to be in a state of mutual hostility. Papa, papa. Lightning flashed in the forest. Numerous gigantic creatures were entrenched on the mountain ridges. They raised their majestic heads and opened their bloody mouths slightly, spitting out bolts of lightning. They were thunder dragons, one of the more ancient dragon clans. One of the gigantic thunder dragons twisted its wriggling body, and clouds and mist constantly appeared around it. It quickly flew up into the sky and blocked the path of Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Stop right there. Its mouth didn't move, but it released human speech, draconic language. Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor quickly stopped. It was clearly impolite to barge into someone else's territory. After all, they were here to ask the dragon clan for help, not to fight. Lin Muyu put the Shenyuan sword behind her back, stepped forward, and cupped her fists. Eastern God Realms Lin Muyu and 7 luminaries demon emperor have come to pay their respects to the dragon clan's ancestral dragon elders. Please pass on the message. The thunder dragon's huge eyes closed, and when they opened again, they shone brightly. The dragon whiskers on both sides of its nose swayed slowly, as if it was peering into the other party's heart. Its mental energy flowed into Lin Muyu's heart like a stream. But who was Lin Muyu? In terms of mental energy, he was one of the best in the God realm. With a light smile, he opened a barrier in the depths of his heart, and no matter how hard the thunder dragon's mental energy tried, it couldn't penetrate it. On the other hand, Lin Muyu's mental energy penetrated in the opposite direction, and she could see through some of the thunder dragon's thoughts. So it's the thunder ancestral dragon. My apologies. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. The 7 luminaries demon emperor was shocked. He's one of the ancestral dragons? Yes, Lin Muyu said. To be able to cultivate such dense dragon energy, and even form 2 holy dragon's grasps, he must be one of the ancestral dragons. The 7 luminaries demon emperor could also see that there were 2 protrusions on the thunder dragon's abdomen. They looked ordinary, but there was clearly a kind of magma-like power brewing and lying dormant, as if it could explode at any time. This thunder ancestral dragon was definitely not easy to deal with. On the contrary, the lightning ancestral dragon, who was staring at the 2 of them, fell into deep thought. After a long time, he said, "You are not anyone from the Eastern Divine Realm. My consciousness has already seen through all the changes in the Divine Realm. Your figures are not in the Divine Book, nor are your names. Tell me, who are you? Why did you enter the Dragon Clan's territory?" As he spoke, streaks of invisible lightning spread out to form a large net around Ancestral Gragon's body. It was as if he would attack at any moment. The 7 luminaries demon emperor had a violent temper, and would attack at any time. Therefore, it was still Lin Muyu who spoke. He took another step forward, and stood in front of the thunder ancestral dragon that was like a mountain. He looked very small, but his voice was very loud, and he said in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing, "We are Samsara, and have come from 700 years in the future." 700 years in the future? The thunder ancestral dragon narrowed its eyes, and its nostrils exhaled wisps of lightning. The heavenly Tao is vague, and none of the gods in the God realm have the ability to travel 700 years in the future. If you lie to the Dragon Clan, do you know the consequences? In the surroundings, thunder dragons, cloud dragons, and flying dragons had already surrounded him. They let out soundless roars, and their auras quickly formed a huge domain, making it impossible for anyone to hide. The dragon race's attack would be even more ferocious and tragic. It was much stronger than the hunting of ordinary ferocious beasts. Compared to the hunting of the dragon race, the hunting of the wolf race was simply as laughable as a cat catching a mouse. The 7 luminaries demon emperor looked around, and the flames in his eyes surged, quickly condensing into the shape of Pangu's axe. He said, If you can't get through to them, let's fight them first. These Dragon Clan are masters that can only be forced, but not cowed. It'll be easy to deal with them after we beat them up." Lin Muyu groaned inwardly. "Don't make a move first. We are here as envoys of the gods from 700 years in the future, not to fight. Big brother, please restrain yourself. Okay. The 7 luminaries demon emperor gritted his teeth and restrained himself, but his left eye was already glowing. As long as the dragon clan made any big moves, he would immediately unleash an 8 lights celestial river disturbance. Lin Muyu looked up at the thunder ancestral dragon, took a deep breath, and said, Lord Ancestral Dragon, please take a look at this first. As he said that, he sank his chi into his dantian and circulated his godly energy. Immediately, a golden armor appeared on his body, and a crimson cloak fluttered behind him. He had already entered the martial god transformation state, and his aura became even more decisive and indomitable. Blood-colored lightning flowed around him, and the power of the Saint Martial was hidden within. It was somewhat similar to the Thunder Ancestral Dragon's domain. The Thunder Ancestral Dragon was slightly surprised. Lin Muyu said, This is the power of the gods from 700 years in the future. 700 years in the future, a great war caused the heaven realm to fall, and when all living beings perished, the Mahayana heavenly Tao appeared to protect the common people. We are the last batch of gods to protect the Mahayana heavenly Tao, but the enemy is too strong. They have absorbed the core energy of the spiritual mountains of the various major planes, and even pierced through the core of the demon realm, absorbing a part of the demon realm's power. This group of enemies is no longer something we can deal with, so we transmigrated 700 years to ask the ancestral dragons, who are about to perish, to help us survive this calamity. Every word he said was sonorous and unquestionable. The Thunder Ancestral Dragon narrowed his eyes again, as if trying to see through Lin Muyu's thoughts. This time, Lin Muyu opened her heart, allowing him to peep into her true thoughts. For a moment, the Thunder Ancestral Dragon was stunned for a few seconds. Then he slowly came to his senses and said, You are indeed the Lord God from 700 years in the future, but I can't decide the matters of the ancestral dragons on my own. How about this? I will bring you to the depths of the Dragon Valley to meet His Majesty the Dragon God and the other 7 ancestral dragons. At that time, you can explain everything. As for whether you can do as you wish, it will depend on His Majesty the Dragon God and the other 7 ancestral dragons. All right, thank you. Come with me. The Thunder Ancestral Dragon slithered toward the depths of the Dragon Valley, while Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor followed closely behind. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor did not expect things to go so smoothly. He thought that they would have to fight to settle the matter, so he had a resentful look on his face. There was actually something in this world that could be settled just by talking. The world had really changed. The sacred land of the Dragon Valley was known as the Dragon's Domain. The Dragon's Domain was the residence of tens of thousands of dragons, as well as the residence of the Dragon God and the 8 ancestral dragons. The Dragon God also had the cultivation of the ancestral dragons, but in fact, there were 9 ancestral dragons. It was these 9 ancestral dragons that decided the future of the Dragon's Domain. There were more and more dragons in the surroundings. There were many dragons of all kinds, some of which Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor had never seen before. Moreover, there were more and more holy dragons. There were Eastern dragons and Western dragons. There was an endless variety of them. In the distance, a green mountain range stretched across the ancient land like a giant dragon. The encircling shape became the protective umbrella of the giant dragons, and this was the sacred land of the Dragon Clan, the Dragon's Domain. Under the high cliffs, holy dragons were entrenched there, lazily immersed in a deep slumber that would last for years, decades, or even centuries. Huff, huff. It was the breath of the ancestral dragons. They were powerful, and every breath formed a field visible to the naked eye. The stones and leaves in the surroundings floated up and down. It was a spectacular sight. The Thunder Ancestral Dragon slithered over and said in dragon language, My king, elders, the celestial race from 700 years later has come. They have a request for the Dragon Clan. Please meet them. Oh, is that so? A red flame ancestral dragon with flames all over its body slowly opened its eyes. Its sharp eyes seemed to be able to melt stones and forge gold. Following its gaze, Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. None of these ancestral dragons were easy to deal with. This was inevitable. The dragon god that was surrounded by the 7 great ancestral dragons also slowly opened its eyes. Its pair of azure eyes were like the starry sky that could see through people's hearts. It raised its head and looked at Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor with an inviolable aura. It said, "Are you really the gods from 700 years later?" Chapter 1290. Yes. How can this be fake? The 7 luminaries demon emperor stood in front of the dragon god. Although his figure was small, he was imposing and did not back down in the face of the dragon god's gaze. What a joke, the dragon race that could make the mad god retreat with just a gaze was probably not even born yet. The dragon god was silent for a few seconds. Su Ran moved his mouth and said, "I believe that you are the main gods 700 years later, but how can I believe what you say? Who can guess what will happen 700 years later? How can I know if your request for the dragon race to go to your world is a scam? How about this?" Lin Muyu frowned and walked forward. She glanced at the 9 great ancestor dragons and suddenly stepped on the boulder on the ground. Suddenly, the power of the holy martial arts rippled and the ground began to crack, turning into the scene that happened in the demon world. Countless evil titans frantically devoured the spiritual power leaking from the underground of the demon world, as well as the ferocious figure of Aelios holding lightning. After nearly half a minute, Lin Muyu shook her palm and retracted the illusion. She said, "You should have seen what the demon world looks like, right? There is not much difference between the demon world 700 years later and the current demon world, but it will be different 700 years later. The war between the demon world and the Protoss has just ended and a new strong enemy has arrived. Moreover, it is a group of enemies that are strong enough to destroy the world. We need the help of the ancestor dragons from 700 years ago." The golden dragon god narrowed his eyes and said, "Everything in the world has its ups and downs. This is the law of heaven and earth. As the Protoss, shouldn't you respect the law of heaven and earth and let nature take its course?" The 7 luminaries demon emperor shouted in a low voice, "Everyone is about to die. Why are you still following your grandmother's legs?" Roar, roar. For a moment, the crimson flame ancestor dragon and the frost ancestor dragon bared their ferocious fangs together. Their auras were powerful, and frost and flames soared into the sky, as if they would swallow the 7 luminaries demon emperor at any time. "Don't be rude to my king," the lightning ancestor dragon also warned in a low voice. The 7 luminaries demon emperor said coldly, "What is there to be rude about? They are just a group of old fellows. Big brother, don't talk so much." Lin Muyu took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "Ancestral dragons, although the rise and fall of the people are decided by the heaven and earth, there is an old saying that everything depends on one's own effort. How can you speculate the true meaning of the heaven and earth? How can you be sure that the heaven and earth did not ask us, the so-called gods, to risk our lives to change the impending misfortune? Anyone would say, let nature take its course. But isn't that too pedantic and cowardly?" The golden dragon deity Su Ran's eyes widened in anger. Immediately, the dragon realm trembled, and the domain around Lin Muyu began to crumble and disintegrate. This was an extremely powerful domain. Once one was no match for it, they would fall into a desperate situation. "You!" The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised his Pangu axe. "Don't move. I'll do it myself," Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice, and the sword intent of the AO sword tactics broke out of her body. There were no weapons, but it had already broken and disintegrated the domain of the dragon god like a gust of wind sweeping the fallen leaves. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Blood-colored lightning surged around, forming a self-protective domain. Lin Muyu clenched her fists and looked extremely majestic. Her eyes were full of fighting spirit. She looked up at the dragon god and said, "Why? Does the dragon god want to test my ability?" The golden dragon god narrowed his eyes and said, "There's no need to try. I believe what you said. I've seen through your heart just now. You are the martial god of the future and have the strongest power in the world. Why do you need to ask us old guys for help? I'm no longer the strongest. Lin Muyu loosened her fists and said, the heavenly realm has been breached again and again. Our enemies are getting stronger and stronger, but the power of our laws is getting weaker and weaker. If the heavenly sound scroll is destroyed again, then the last flame of the righteous path will also be extinguished with our deaths in battle. The whole world will fall into oblivion, and your dragon clan will also be a member of the world. The dragon god was silent. On the side, the storm ancestral dragon opened his mouth wide and said, since tens of thousands of years ago, the dragon clan has been hunted by your god clan. We have become your mounts, become the food on the dining table. Since then, the dragon clan and the god clan have sworn an oath to never coexist with each other. Now, the 9 great ancestor dragons are lying dormant here with the last orthodox bloodline of the dragon clan. But you have come to disturb our peace. May I ask, does the god clan really care about the common people? Are the dragon clan not one of the living beings? One of the living beings. Lin Muyu raised her head and said, but the law since ancient times has been that the weak are prey to the strong. Not only did you dragon clan protect yourselves, you actually didn't fight for the slightest benefit in the face of a desperate situation. You were hunted by the god clan and fled here to lie dormant. Isn't this your own choice? If the dragon clan dares to fight to the death, do you think the god clan can kill you all? With that, she pointed to the dragon god and said, and you, dragon god, your life has clearly not come to an end yet, but you actually chose to annihilate yourself here with the 9 great ancestor dragons. If this is not escape and cowardice, then what is it? Today, I am not here to beg you to help me resist the strong enemy, but to give you a chance to rebuild your glory. Choose to annihilate yourself and turn into a pile of dragon bones, or choose to fight for all living beings and fight for a certain status for the future dragon clan. Choose for yourself. The dragon god sighed and said, martial god, you are a very good lobbyist, but can the dragon race really believe you? Lin Muyu took a deep look at him and said, dragon god, do you know what the dragon race will be like after hundreds of years? Your race has almost been wiped out, and all the dragons have been used as mounts and pets. If that is the case, the world will say that you are the race closest to the god clan. Do you deserve this sentence? The selfish god race in your mouth can fight for all living beings, so why can't you? The dragon god was stunned. The earth ancestor dragon moved its heavy body, and the power of rock slowly flowed on its body. It opened a pair of brown eyes, looked at Lin Muyu, and said, your majesty dragon god, I believe in him. I am willing to use the last strength in my life to fight for all living beings and for the future of the dragon race. Even if I die, I will not regret it. The lightning ancestor dragon also prostrated on the ground and said, your majesty, I also believe in this boy. I am willing to go to 700 years later to fight for the future of the dragon race and for all living beings. Even if I die, I will not regret it. The red flame ancestor dragon and the ice ancestor dragon also prostrated together and bowed their heads, saying, we are also willing to go to the future of the dragon race and offer the last glory of our lives to the righteous path between heaven and earth. The dragon god opened his eyes tremblingly and said, old friends, do you know how strong the enemy is? In that moment just now, I peeked into the future 700 years later. Those enemies, one strike from them is enough to destroy an entire plane. Their power can burn the heavens and transform the earth. They are even more powerful than us. Are you really willing to fight against such enemies? The 8 great ancestor dragons lowered their heads and said, even if I die, I will not regret it. Lin Muyu also took a step back and knelt on one knee in front of the dragon god, saying, your majesty dragon god, I swear here, as long as the ancestor dragons fight for all living beings, there will definitely be a place for the dragon race in the god realm 700 years later. I will do my best to fight for the survival and status of the dragon race. If I go back on my word, may the heavens and earth destroy me. The dragon god's long beard swayed slowly in the wind. He seemed to be a little tired and said, "In that case, the dragon race will participate in the war, but not only the ancestral dragons, I will lead thousands of dragon race to the future. The ancestral dragons will participate in the war, and the rest of the dragon race will find a place to rest." "Why, Your Majesty?" The lightning ancestor dragon was shocked. "I spied on the imminent destruction of the dragon race. Following our annihilation, the strength of the dragon race will decline day by day. The northern divine King Dongming will lead an army to annihilate our descendants. Only by going to the future can we avoid this disaster." The 7 luminaries demon emperor coughed and said, "In fact, 700 years later, Dongming will still be here, and he will fight side by side with us." Lin Muyu added, "But I can guarantee that the dragon race will be absolutely safe." The dragon god said, "I am not worried about this. I am just worried about whether the martial god has the ability to guide us to the future 700 years later, and whether he can find the accurate time node." Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "I can try, but the ancestral dragons must share some of their power with me. Otherwise, I will not be able to take thousands of dragon race to the future to seek refuge." "Well, then try." In the afternoon, there was silence in the dragon's domain. More than 1,000 dragon race surrounded Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor, while the ancestral dragons were lined up in 2 rows, each with their front claws on the former's body, while the dragon god and the red flame ancestor dragon put their sharp claws on Lin Muyu's left and right shoulders. Suddenly, a mighty dragon power poured into her body, causing Lin Muyu to tremble uncontrollably. The strength of the dragon race was enough to shock the entire universe, but the dragon race did not compete, so it was the god race who dominated the heaven realm. Slowly closing her eyes, a huge blue array surged under her feet. Lin Muyu tried hard to find the time node, and at the same time, she expanded the teleportation array so that it almost covered half of the dragon's domain, surrounding thousands of dragon race members. "Found it!" Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice and stamped her feet on the ground. Pong! A light burst out, and for a moment, the entire space of the dragon's domain began to distort. The power that could seize the mysteries of heaven and earth rapidly spread out, and the many dragon race members suddenly disappeared. The rest of the dragon race were stunned. The place that was originally full of dragon race members was only a bunch of white whirling air waves, and nothing else. They had already gone to the world 700 years later. Boom, boom, boom! On the Loyan Mountain, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Accompanied by a huge whirlpool, figures flew out one by one. They were the ancient dragon, and in addition Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries demon emperor. The entire Luoyan mountain was in an uproar, and all the gods were rejoicing for the safe return of the 7 luminaries demon emperor and Lin Muyu. At the same time, the awe-inspiring and inviolable dragon power surged on the Luoyan mountain, faintly filling the righteousness of the Luoyan mountain. With the arrival of the 9 great ancestral dragons, the power of the righteous and evil paths seemed to be balanced again. Roar! A sharp roar tore the sky and earth apart. It was a huge steel figure, surrounded by thick demonic energy. It was the new leader of the Titans, Stanek. The Titans arrived very quickly. Lin Muyu, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, and the 9 great ancestral dragons had just landed, and they had already arrived at Mount Deshang. Prepare for the decisive battle. The 7 luminaries demon emperor raised Pangu's axe and let out a roar that soared to the sky. Chapter 1291. Whoosh! The battle axe fell like a meteor and smashed into the back of a wyvern. It instantly pierced through the dragon's armor and split it in two. The wyvern didn't even have time to let out a miserable howl. With a clang, Lin Muyu pulled out the Shenyuan sword. The power of the holy martial surged out of her body and quickly increased the power of the gods and the ancestral dragons. At the same time, she shouted, "Other than the 9 ancestral dragons, the rest of the dragon clan leave the battlefield immediately." The dragon clan was only participating in the battle as cannon fodder. There was no need to let them die in vain. In the sky, Aelios held the lightning in his hand. He didn't want to say anything else. He pointed the lightning at the Luoyan mountain and shouted, Fight! Kill them all! The 7 luminaries demon emperor pointed their battle axes at the sky. Fight! Whoosh whoosh whoosh. One figure after another soared into the sky and engaged in a fierce battle with the titans. Lin Muyu stepped on the void and bent his body slightly. He suddenly rose from the ground, and his sword turned into a blazing light that went straight for Aelios. In the entire righteous path, he was probably the only one worthy of being called Aelios. Ha ha ha! Do you still think I'm the same as before? Alos had a look of disdain on his face as he raised both his arms. Demonic clouds covered the sky, and with a roar from Alos, a power that could overturn the heavens and earth descended from the sky. Lin Muyu had seen this kind of power before, the Tower of God-slaying, but the power of Alos in front of her had far surpassed that of the Tower of God-slaying. They were not on the same level at all. He had already gathered the power of gods and demons, reaching an immeasurable level of power. Without hesitation, he used the full power of the holy martial arts and the full power of the proud sword technique. Lin Muyu clashed with Aelios with a towering aura. Suddenly, the entire star universe seemed to tremble. The impact of their attacks even pushed the powerhouses, including the Frost Ancestral Dragon and the Flaming Ancestral Dragon, away. The few hundred meters in the sky became the battlefield that only the 2 of them could occupy. Brother Yu, Qin Yin held the Donghua sword. Her beautiful eyes were full of worry. She couldn't even enter the battlefield between Lin Muyu and Aelios. The power was too strong. Kill, kill, kill. Feng Jixing, Situ San, and Wei Chou formed a 3-man team that kept pushing forward. One titan after another was killed or shot to death. The 9 ancestral dragons were not to be outdone as they continued to attack. Streams of dragon flames and powerful physical attacks tore at the titans. However, their strength was the opposite. The evil titans were powerful, and the righteous gods were having a hard time as well. The earth ancestral dragon's wings were forcefully torn apart by the 2 titans' attacks. However, it also bit the head of one of the titans and tore it off. The moment it killed the earth ancestral dragon, more than 10 titans continuously attacked it. Battle axes and hammers almost instantly tore apart the earth ancestral dragon's protective dragon force. Immediately after, its body was completely smashed into pieces. Roar! The frost ancestral dragon froze 3 titans with its dragon breath. It whipped its tail and crushed their shells. However, there were too many titans, and they surrounded it from all directions. Almost every ancestral dragon had to deal with more than 10 titans. In the blink of an eye, most of them were injured. Even the dragon god might not be able to escape unscathed from such a fierce battle. On the other hand, among the gods, only higher gods like Shiyen, the 7 luminaries demon emperor Xiao, and Dongming could kill 1 to 3 titans on their own. Any more and they might be killed by the titans. After absorbing the power of the demonic realm, every attack of the titans was so powerful that ordinary gods could not withstand it at all. Along with miserable howls, countless gods died in the fierce battle. Even the great void temple of the Luoyan mountain was shattered and disintegrated by the strong airflow. Bang! On the battlefield, after the 3rd attack, Lin Muyu's arms were already sore, and blood seeped out of her mouth and nose. Even as an Einherjar, she was no longer a match for this crazy Aelios. BZZT. The lightning was crackling with electricity. Aelios burst into laughter. He suddenly thrust his spear forward, directly breaking through Lin Muyu's upstanding energy shield. In that split second, Lin Muyu swung her long sword and knocked away the lightning. Her figure rose, and she landed a heavy elbow strike on Aelios' shoulder. Bang! Divine power surged. Aelios only felt pain, but was not injured. He fiercely hugged Lin Muyu's waist. The demonic flames on his body turned into electricity and wreaked havoc. In an instant, Lin Muyu's body was almost melted. She was in great pain. Aelios was using the power of a small half of the demonic realm to attack Lin Muyu. One could only imagine the power of this attack. You! A loud roar came from the front. The Pangu axe landed on Aelios' back with a force that could split the heavens and earth apart. However, the protective aura formed by the electricity knocked the Pangu axe away. The Seven Brilliance Demon Monarch swung his fist and punched Aelios' waist without any hesitation. Bang! This was the power of the Eight Lights Celestial River. The power of one punch was enough to shake heaven and earth. In pain, Aelios let go of Lin Muyu. He raised his hand and swung the lightning with all his might. Eft! Lin Muyu groaned in pain. His left arm was cut off by the lightning. The piercing pain made him lose all his combat strength in an instant. He took a few steps back. His chest was hit by Aelios's lightning again from a distance. His armor cracked, and blood flowed non-stop. He stood in the air and stared blankly at Aelios and the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor in the distance. He could not even hold the Shenyuan sword firmly. The disparity in strength was something Lin Muyu had never imagined. Get lost! Aelios turned around and punched. He forcefully pushed the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor away. Not only that, but the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor's right fist was drenched in blood. Even the bones in his fist were shattered. Arg! The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor quickly retreated. He held his right wrist and groaned in pain. His eyes were red. He knew that Lin Muyu's injury was more serious. Buzz. Suddenly, the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor could not move. It was as if his entire body was being controlled. Then, a red circular barrier formed around him, holding him in the air. On the other side, it was connected to Aelios' palm. He was constantly absorbing the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor's divine power. Bastard! The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor punched several times, but he could not break the barrier. This must be a martial art that Aelios had learned in the demon realm. This kind of power was far above the gods. Come and serve me. Aelios laughed loudly. He suddenly flashed past. Lightning shook Shiyan's blazing moon sword away. He landed a heavy punch, causing Shiyan to retreat nearly 100 meters. Her body was also instantly immobilized. Shiyan was also controlled. The power of the frigid moon in her body was continuously extracted, becoming part of Aelios's power. No. Under Shiyan's gaze, dozens of angels were crushed by Aelios. Even Eva, Li Fei, and the others were swept away. It was unknown whether they were alive or dead. In the sky, thunder rumbled incessantly. Although most of the titans had been taken care of, Aelios' power had become the dominator of the entire divine war. No one was Aelios' opponent anymore, and no one could change anything. Master! Rhea rushed to Lin Muyu's side. But before she could touch Lin Muyu, she was repelled by the lightning in Lin Muyu's body. She spat out blood and fell into the mountains. Rhea! Lin Muyu wanted to cry. He stood there trembling. He couldn't even muster the slightest bit of strength. In the sky, one high god after another was frozen in place. Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Xiao, Situ Sen, and Feng Jixing. There was no exception. But the low gods and mid-gods were especially miserable. Almost all of them were killed by Aelios. Swoosh! The Ho-E bow flashed, but the sharp arrow could not penetrate Aelios's body. Wei Chou, run! Roared Lin Muyu. But Wei Chou refused to leave. He shot an arrow and hid behind a giant floating rock, using it as a barrier to escape from Aelios's pursuit. But the giant rock buzzed and crackled with lightning. Suddenly collapsed. An enormous palm tore through the rock and grabbed Wei Chou's body. The air behind Aelios dispersed and a huge, malevolent demonic figure appeared. He cackled and said, "You're like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. You don't know the meaning of death." No, Wei Chou. Lin Muyu's body trembled. Tears flowed from his eyes. Amidst the cracking sounds of bones, Wei Chou was in so much pain that tears flowed from his eyes. The Ho-E bow fell from his hand. His body fell limply in the demonic palm. At the moment of his death, he looked at Lin Muyu in the sky and murmured, "Your subordinate will follow Lin General for the rest of my life. I will not regret it." Boom! Wei Chou's divinity violently exploded, completely blowing up the demonic palm. He had actually chosen to commit suicide. "Wei Chou, you're a good one." Situ Sen's body was shackled. Tears streamed down his face as he roared. I would rather die than let the path of strength be used by the demonic path. Wait for me. I, Situ-sen, will accompany you. Gritting his teeth, Situ-sen's body shone with golden light as his strength burst forth. Don't stay. Situ-sen, if you die, I will never forgive you. Lin Muyu knelt in the air. She was on the verge of a mental breakdown. Situ-san knelt down as tears streamed down his face. Aelios laughed loudly. His face was ferocious. Lin Muyu, you call yourself the martial god. But who can you save? You invited these ancestral dragons. But now, they have turned into a pile of desolate bones. What else can you do to make me your enemy? On the ground, the corpses of the 9 great ancestral dragons were scattered. They had all perished for the righteous path. Pucci? A bolt of lightning pierced through Lin Muyu's chest and lifted him into the air. That was a strike from Aelios' index finger. Just like that, Lin Muyu's broken body was lifted into the air. Aelios cackled. I want you to see your friends die one by one. I want you to see them die, and you want to see the destruction of the righteous path. Lin Muyu closed his eyes in pain. A small amount of holy martial power slowly appeared on his right fist, but a layer of golden light quickly plated his body. The sovereign lattice in his body evaporated and dissipated the last of his strength. He had chosen to self-destruct. You've gone mad. Don't. The 7 luminaries demon emperor violently smashed the protective wall. His fists were already a bloody mess. This fearless demon emperor was crying like a child. Lin Muyu opened his drowsy eyes and looked at Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing, and the 7 luminaries demon emperor from afar. His vision was blurred by tears. He murmured, I'm sorry, I'm useless. I can't accompany you to the end of your journey. Hong! At the moment when the power of the godhood exploded, Lin Muyu fell into a state of silence. He could hear countless voices in his ears, and he could see countless silhouettes. It was as though all the humans and living beings in the world were whispering in his ears. This was the prayers of all living beings to the gods, the power of faith that had not appeared in a very long time. He felt the fear of all living beings. He felt their helplessness and pleading. The world could not be destroyed like this. Lin Muyu's right arm trembled. The people, beasts, and plants on the Shenyuan sword began to fly. It was as if they were proving the power of this sword. Lin Muyu was still immersed in the connection with all living beings. He murmured, the Mahayana heavenly Tao protects all living beings. Please, lend me your power. Just a little, lend me your power. This was a kind of enlightenment. It was enlightenment from the martial god. At this moment, everyone in the millions of planes in the world seemed to hear his voice. They did not know who he was, but they could feel the helpless sorrow and pleading in his voice. They closed their eyes and acquiesced to his request. Strands of the power of all living beings were extracted and gathered into Lin Muyu's body to repair his damaged body. Under the despairing gazes of the gods, Lin Muyu's right arm was bathed in a green light. It was a power that came from all living beings. It was an extremely vast power that surpassed even the demon realm and the god realm. Boom! With a loud explosion, the protective barrier around Lin Muyu shattered. He had already broken free from Aelios' imprisonment. With a low growl, his domain surged and blocked Aelios' lightning outside his body. Step by step, Lin Muyu took to the air and walked towards Aelios. What happened to you? Alos gritted his teeth. He actually felt fear. He growled, Stop him! More than a dozen titans charged at him, including the Titan Lord Stanek. However, these titans crashed into the green barrier a few meters away from Lin Muyu. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere, and even Stanek fell along with them. How could this be? Alos felt that he was locked in place by the domain and could not move. You! The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Xiao shouted at the same time, their eyes filled with relief. Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Situ-sen, Feng Jixing, and the others did not know what had happened, but they knew that Lin Muyu must have comprehended some kind of power, a power that the gods did not have. The Shenyuan sword was slowly raised, green light swirling around it. Lin Muyu looked straight at Aloes and said calmly, "I hope that there will be no more despicable demons like you in this world." Chaos of the first luminaries. It was just a simple first luminaries, but it was something that Aloes could not stop. The mighty power of all living beings whizzed past, turning Aloes' body into dust. Boom! 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 The airflow surged, and the imprisoned gods were reborn, but some had already passed away forever. Lin Muyu looked at the ground. Ho Yi's bow had landed in the wreckage of the Great Void Temple, glowing. He was silent, tears streaming down his face. Bai Feng, the 7 luminaries demon emperor, Dong Ming, Shi Yan, and the others walked over one by one and followed Lin Muyu into the wreckage of the Great Void Temple. As if they had a tacit understanding, they all knelt around Lin Muyu and said, "Greetings, King of the Gods." Lin Muyu looked at the gods with red eyes, but he did not say a word. After a long time, he said slowly, "May all living beings be treated with kindness, and may all living beings live forever." The next year, the Hall of Great Accomplishment and the Great Void Temple were rebuilt. 2 years later, the Southern Divinity Realm was rebuilt. 3 years later, the Eastern Divinity Realm rebuilt Dragon Domain and worshipped the 9 great ancestral dragons. The world changes, but the heart remains the same. Who knew how many people would still remember this sentence after 1,000 or 10,000 years? End of text. You're tuning in to the Legend of the Vagabond YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.